Hello, this is Derek Fitzgerald introducing Richard Strapple from Carousel for the Badged SE panel review session. Go ahead, Richard.
Great. Thanks, guys. Like Derek said, Rich Strapple, Carousel Industries, Main Health. So, hello, and thanks for having us back today. As you know, we're here to review your current video environment and to look at possible solutions and next steps. I'd like to break this into three sections. First, I'd like to go through an intro, review of your company background, your current environment. Then second, look at some of the challenges and pain points that we've discussed. Review all the issues and what the requirements are from those issues to solve for those challenges. And then third and finally, a high-level solution overview, how we specifically are going to solve for those challenges, and that review will be again a high-level overview, and then a review of the architectural design. So, Main Health, right? You guys are a large health organization here, primarily in the New England area. You have 3 locations, this facility that we're at now, and 2 clinics via acquisitions over the last couple of years. You guys are looking for video collaboration guidance for the administrative side of the house at this point specifically, right? You're interested in an on-prem solution due to security concerns, regulations, HIPAA compliance, etc. Possibly down the road, we're going to discuss some telemed solutions. We talked about remote monitoring of patients, ICU, things like that. But that would be, again, a phase 2, phase 3 approach. You guys roughly have 1,500 employees spread across the organization. And of that, again, the administrative, you have about 185 administrative staff spread across the 3 locations. And that breaks out to mainly about 85 at the main location, 35 and 15 respectively at Clinic B and C. Currently, 25 endpoints, a vast array, mix and match of endpoints, right? You guys have Tamberg, MXP, you have 3,000, 6,000s. You got some Edge 85s, maybe 95s. We know you have Polycom HDX and even some older VSX. So really, all over the board, and a lot of that is due to the acquisitions that we spoke about. Majority of the endpoints are evenly dispersed amongst the 3 locations. On the back end, on the infrastructure side of the house, you guys have an aging Polycom solution, really just made up of a Polycom RMX 2000. You have a single blade, and it's an older NPMX blade. You also have a CMA 4000, which you're really only using for some gatekeeper functionality, 4-digit dialing. As we've discussed prior, we know that is end of service, end of life. It's an aged box at this point. We got our money out of it. And then finally, you are a Cisco voice. You are a Cisco voice shop. You have a Cisco CUCM, a call manager, centrally located. So, what I'd like to do is I'm going to call out the challenges as we understand them. And before I move on, is there anything I missed in the review of your environment? Nope. So, on the challenges side, the first challenge that I'd like to review is video adoption. And what I mean by video adoption is, right, video adoption is light. Utilization is light. You're not using the age systems that you currently have. And for a lot of reasons, right? They're end of service, they're out of life. There's no software support. Obviously, there's no feature development for them, and there are multiple different manufacturers. And how that ties into video adoption is there's no ease of use. You walk into one room, you pick up one type of remote, maybe it's a Tandberg remote. You walk into another room, you have a different remote. Some of the rooms, even the HDXs, you have a couple touch controls. So you have all these disparate ways to control the room, and the user interface differences all add up to confusion and a poor user experience. Your second challenge is time. It's twofold. It's travel and time, right? They go hand in hand. So, as we discussed, you have the 3 sites today. There's going to be more acquisitions in the future, and we have no dedicated video network between these 3 sites, right? So, we have no way to connect video conferencing between the main hospital here and the clinics that we have acquired, that you have acquired. And 2 more clinics coming on in the next year or 2. So obviously the travel time between these sites is becoming much more inefficient, and we need to find a way to reduce travel costs and these inefficiencies. Your third challenge is Skype for Business. And really, if I was listing these in order of importance, I probably would have put that first, right? Skype for Business is being adopted. In fact, it's been rolled out here at the main hospital campus. It is going to be deployed at all the clinics. And we're going to have Skype. You're going to have Skype for Business on all of your desktops. You're going to have it in your smaller meeting or slash huddle rooms, right? Your huddle spaces. And that is a challenge because we have no way to integrate or interop between that Skype, that Microsoft side of the house, the Skype for Business side of the house, and your video, your traditional video. So we have no way to connect them, to bring them together into the same conference. So that's a challenge. And fourth is B2B, right? Business to business calling, that kind of encompasses a lot of different parts. But business to business, meaning we have no ability to do off-net calling, right?
Yes.
So you don't have a video border proxy today. So there's no way to traverse the firewall. You're not able to call business partners. They're not able to call you. Business partners, vendors, what have you, remote workers. You're not able to have a remote worker who is on the road for the day at a coffee shop, a Starbucks. So basically, your video network at this point is a silo, and that's a big challenge. And the fifth and final challenge, I'll just put down as voice. And what I mean by voice is the inability to add voice participants to the video calls, right? We need to be able to add participants stuck in a car, windshield time. We need to be able to get a voice participant into the video call. And your voice again, you're a Cisco shop with a CM, with a call manager. So all of these issues, these are all leading to staff utilizing much less secure ways of communicating. They're finding their own ways to get around these communication challenges. They're using FaceTime, Facebook, Google, they're texting, etc. And this is an issue because those are not secure means of communication. You're a hospital. These raise security concerns and possibly liability issues, right? So, kind of brings me to the solution. I'd like to take a quick look at the solution summary at a high level. And what I think is best is for us to focus on refreshing your core video infrastructure first. And the recommendation there would be obviously Polycom Clarity. It's a complete on-prem video infrastructure application suite, if you will. It's easy to deploy, easy to manage, easy to license and use. And you only have to license and use what you need. So with Clarity, we will solve for all these issues. We'll solve for all these 4 issues. Video adoption, Clarity is going to make video adoption easier. But later we'll go into specifically how we're going to tackle video adoption. So we're going to solve for these issues. Video adoption, as I've said a couple times now, ease of use, travel and time constraints, business to business. We need a way, Skype for business, voice. We need a way to interop, inter-office calling, trunking, and that's how we're going to solve for all of these requirements with Clarity. So what I'm proposing is a full rollout of Clarity, and just to dive a little deeper into what Clarity is. Clarity is really it's a licensing model for the entire Polycom Real Presence portfolio. It basically gives you all the applications, and they're licensed on a per call basis, as opposed to a per application use basis, which is what you're really kind of used to with your RMX. How many you always had to worry about how many ports you needed. On your CMA, you had to worry about how many concurrent calls and how many unit endpoints or users were being managed, and you had to look at all those different licensing models for those platforms. It no longer matters how many endpoints are being managed, how many concurrent calls there are, how many are transversing the firewall or landing on the bridge, because it just doesn't matter. In fact, they could all land on the bridge, so long as you had enough physical resources, because a call is a call, and each participant in that call is a single leg, and each leg will utilize one Clarity call license. This Clarity solution can be deployed via physical chassis, which you're familiar with, right, with the RMX and the CMA, but it can also be virtualized. So we would probably virtualize all of the applications in the suite. And we'll get to it, except for maybe the collaboration server, aka RMX, because the total cost of ownership, if we virtualize and we know that you already have resources on your in your VM farm, so you have those virtual machine resources. We're going to virtualize these. Total cost of ownership goes down, and when that goes down, the return investment goes up and goes up quicker. Clarity can be consumed in an OpEx or a CapEx model. So really simple, a single SKU for the Clarity license, for the maintenance, for the implementation. Scales quickly, scales easily. And you pay, again, just for use and what you need. So what I'd like to do now is kind of do a little bit more of a high-level architectural review of each of the components of Clarity. And I guess this would be a good time. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay. So the main component, or the component I usually like to talk to first, is the DMA. The DMA is, it has many functions in the video network. It is your 323 gatekeeper. Right, and we know at least for a little while you're going to continue to have some 323 only endpoints. It's your SIP registrar. It takes care of all your call control, your call routing, bandwidth control. I like to think of it as the traffic cop of your video network. In addition to all that, the DMA is the point of the trunks are set up in. So, for instance, we spoke about your Cisco voice environment, right? And here's your CUCM. Well, I really just refer to it as a CM now. So here's your Cisco call manager. And we're able to, with the DMA, set up a trunk, and we're able to solve for your fifth challenge, and we're able to add now voice participants from the Cisco voice side of the house into these video conferences. So we've just solved for your voice participant problem, challenge. Next, I like to go to the Resource Manager. So the Polycom Resource Manager, RM, right? And the Polycom Resource Manager takes care of scheduling, right? Which you don't utilize today. It takes care of management, endpoint updates, software, things like that. Also reporting. So it's not going to totally solve for a challenge, right? But it's going to really help with this video adoption. And the way it's going to help with this is it's going to give us scheduling of conference. That's going to make it much easier. It's going to manage the endpoints, upgrade software. It's going to give us reporting. So it's really going to help a good bit with the video, with ease of use, and thus video adoption. And just to kind of take a time out and review, right? We talked today that you guys have a CMA, and in the new Polycom structure, the CMA has been split into two separate applications, right? Your CMA took care of all the call control, the scheduling, and the management. It's been broken out now, and it was broken out for better scaling and management. So this encompasses both all the features and functionalities that you get from the CMA. Let's go now to let's talk about the RMX, which you guys are familiar with, as you currently have an RMX. So you're familiar with it. Again, you have an RMX. It's a bridge. It's also referred to as an MCU, but Polycom now refers to it as we refer to it as the collaboration server. The bridge can be virtualized much the same way as the rest of these applications, but we're going to recommend that we stick with the chassis and virtualize the rest of the applications. And the reason we want to do that is because we're going to have a lot of different transcoding and mixed mode calls. We're going to have AVC, SVC calling, Skype for Business. So when we're doing all that kind of transcoding, it's better to utilize the specialized DSPs on the RMX blades than it is to virtualize and try and take care of them with x86 processors. And in addition, the chassis has some other benefits rather than just the specialized DSPs, right? It's a modular design. It has more survivability. We got hot swappable cards. Blades. We have hot swappable PSUs. Control modules are replaceable. Things like that. So we keep the chassis. We upgrade to the latest RX cards. And that's required because your current cards, you have the NPMX cards, and right, they're end of life, end of maintenance. They're software limited now to 8.5.x, and we're going to need to upgrade the cards in order to take advantage of features like Real Connect, right, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But we're going to be able to populate with the density of these newer RX cards. We're going to be able to have spare resources always ready. And as we grow this solution, and you pay as you go, it's future proof. So the RMX is it's going to take care of some of this Skype for Business via way of the Real Connect, which we're going to speak to shortly. And that brings me to the RPAD, right? And the RPAD is the Real Presence Access Director, or just Access Director. here's our RPAD, right? And we've got a firewall here. And so what the RPAD is it's really a video border proxy, if you will. It allows for off-net calling, in or out calling via the internet. And as kind of roughly depicted here, virtually it sits in the DMZ. It takes care of all of your port requirements, your NATing. So by enabling us to get video calls off of your video silo and out across the network, with one application here, we're going to be able to solve for two of your challenges at once. Right? We're going to solve for that travel time, because now we're going to be able to have conferencing between the two clinics and this main hospital and all the future clinics. So that's going to take care of the time travel inefficiencies. And B2B. Right? We're now going to be able to have calls with our vendors. We're going to be able to have remote workers dial into conferences. So the RPAD is going to be key to this solution. Okay, and that brings me to, we'll just say RealConnect. Right, and RealConnect it's a feature set, I like to call it a feature set of clarity, right? It allows for the interoperability, the interop, right? So here's your Microsoft environment, right? Skype for Business, and then hanging off of here is your AVMCU, right? And it's going to allow interop between Skype for Business calls and your traditional 323 or SIP video calls to allow them seamlessly communicate with one another. At a high level, what's built here is a cascade between the Polycom RMX and the AVMCU, basically by way of a trunk and some trusted application pools. And we're now able to have calls connected and participants see one another in the same conference. But what's really great about it is it allows each side of this conference to keep their native user experience, look and feel, so they're able to experience what they're used to. And that goes back to video adoption. Ease of use, comfort, they're gonna continue to use it. And what I mean by that native look and feel is the Microsoft side of the house, they're still going to get the gallery view, right? And your traditional VTC, they're going to get what they're comfortable with and the layouts that they're comfortable with, such as Brady Bunch or Hollywood Squares, continuous presenter, things like that. So that's going to go a long way to helping with video adoption, but the big challenge it solves for, right, is Skype for Business. and this is really a great solution, and to dig a little deeper, the reason is it's not a gateway solution, right? Because you guys have 1,500 employees, everyone's going to have Skype for Business. We're starting out with just the administrative side, but in a traditional solution, all of these Skype for Business would land on those very expensive RMX DSPs. That doesn't scale real well. It's very expensive. So with keeping everybody on the native experience that they're used to, then we're able to only put the VTC endpoints on the RMX, and the Skype for Business participants will all land on the AVMCU. So now that we have the core video topology laid out, we can see how each of the applications have solved for the challenges, and we've already spoke to that, right? With the DMA, we're able to do some trunking over to the voice side to take care of the the voice participants, the RPAD again. We're going to get in and out over the public internet securely, and that's going to take care of business and travel time between the clinics. So that's where we are with that. So we've solved for most of these problems. We haven't really fully solved for video adoption in my mind, right? We're going to make it a little easier, as we spoke about, because we're given scheduling, we're going to software updates and things like that. But we need to still make the end user, their experience easier and more intuitive. And so we're going to accomplish that. We're going to accomplish that with a refresh of your video endpoints, right? So we're going to start with your older video systems, and we're going to upgrade those, and we're going to upgrade with Polycom Group Series systems of various size and flavors, depending on, right, how many inputs do we need in the room, how many displays, how many cameras, and we have Group Series to fit all those different input and output needs and size considerations for the environment. Also, right, we know with Skype for Business, we're going to have that in some of the huddle and smaller meeting spaces. And for that, we're going to propose a Polycom Trio. And that also comes in various sizes. There's an 8500 and an 8800, depending on inputs and room size and things like that. But these trios are going to be put in the huddle rooms. They're able to do some hybrid dialing, which means, right, they're going to still register directly out to your Skype for Business environment, but they're also going to be able to register over to the Cisco side of the house for a POTS or VoIP dial tone. And so these trios and these group series, there's a variety of peripherals, capabilities, and features that can be added and upgraded on them to make for a great experience. Things like Polycom Director, Polycom Producer. These are camera solutions that they allow for active tracking of speaker. Depending on which, if it's the producer, then it has a multiple camera solution, and it's able to do voice triangulation with facial recognition. If it's director, then it's only going to it's a single camera solution, and it's only using face recognition. But it's going to seamlessly pan, tilt, zoom between all the participants, and so no one has to worry about using the touch control or remote control to focus on who the prominent speaker is. All that's automated and taken care of for you. In addition to that, the producer and the director also give you some really nice room analytics, who was in the room, and analytics like that. These group series systems, we have options like, in addition to those cameras can be made up of 4x and 12x zooms, again, depending on room and ambient room environment needs. We have ceiling mics, we have table mics, we have acoustic fence and noise blocking, two great feature sets. With the noise blocking, the system is able to discern between someone typing on a keyboard or tapping a pencil, and it's able to block those distractions. Makes for a better meeting, ease of use, adoption. Acoustic fence uses an additional microphone, and it's able to recognize the difference between ambient noise outside of the conversation and the participant inside the conversation. Really great products. And so in addition to all those neat products, right, we kind of touched on it before, but the group series will all have Polycom touch control interfaces, right? And that's going to standardize all of those user interfaces in all of those video rooms. So where currently you're walking into the different remote situation and people are getting frustrated, you're going to walk into a room now and we're going to have it standardized on an interface. And that's going to go really, that in of itself is going to go very far to solving the video adoption. And then to make it even better is if having the touch panel on the one user interface wasn't good enough, right? With another feature set of Clarity, one touch dial, the user experience will be, right? They're going to schedule a meeting just as they do today with their Outlook/Exchange integration, right? And then you walk into the room, there's one button to push. They push that button, whether they're joining from a Trio or a Skype for Business system, or they're walking into one of the group series rooms. They're going to walk in. If there's a meeting scheduled, then they're going to have a green button that says to join. So that really is about as easy as it can get for an end user experience. Then, right, content is king, as some say, right? The majority of all conferences today, all meetings today, content is going to be a part of that meeting, as it is with this meeting. And Polycom has a really great product, the Pano, and it's a wireless content sharing solution. It can use Microsoft Miracast, it can use Apple's AirPlay, and wirelessly we can share content with the whiteboard, Blackboard. We're able to annotate. We're able to share up to 4 pieces of content simultaneously. We're able to take screenshots via JPEG. So it's a really great solution. So with the core video infrastructure and the video endpoint refresh that I spoke to, we have the interoperability with the Skype for Business. We have a trunk integration over to the call manager for voice participants, and the RPAD giving us off-net calling and solving for the time and B2B calling. We can wrap this whole solution up into with Polycom and Carousel services, and we can take care of solution design services, project management, implementation, maintenance, and so with all that, in addition to day 2 services, system upgrades and things like that, we're able to tie the whole suite together, and I think you'll see we solve for all of your challenges. And that's what I have, and thanks for your time. Any questions?
So thanks, Richard. That was pretty comprehensive, but I do have a couple of questions or two.
Sure.
You had said something about a minute ago about a group series, a trio, and a Skype room running a call with one touch dial.
Right.
And wow, that sounds really confusing. Like there's a lot of different pieces here. Why those 3 solutions, and what makes that easy for my end users? It sounds just as complicated as what I have today.
Well, we'll have one touch dial. So basically, if there's a scheduled meeting in that room, they'll be able to walk into that room and push a single button if there's a scheduled call, and they'll be able to be put into that conference with, whether it's a Skype for Business participant or a video participant utilizing a group series.
Right. Okay. So, one of the things as I look at our challenges, to run the estate, that there's kind of a big one up there that I think is missing. How does this help with my total spend, for my project? Yeah. I understand the efficiency of less travel and things like that, but
right.
But how does this track to what we're doing today?
So, as far as efficiencies go, in addition to saving on the travel time and the things like that, and the travel between remote workers and the clinics, Clarity's nice because you're only going to consume or purchase what you need. So you can scale it as quickly as you need. Today we have 40 Clarity licenses. If suddenly, hopefully, we're going to see obviously adoption grow and with all the new enhancements. very, very quickly we can add 5, 10, 20 more Clarity licenses. So you're only paying for what you need. Whereas in the old model, right, with your RMX and your CMA, you kind of had to buy, you had to kind of figure out, look at some reporting or best estimates, and you had to purchase licensing on what you hope to eventually attain to.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Hey, Derek, do you have anything for Richard?
Yeah, so Richard, obviously as a customer, my infrastructure kind of aged out a little bit and didn't really keep it up on maintenance and things like that. So how's this new infrastructure going to help me out? Our company's kind of reluctant to, buy new stuff, and with Skype and Teams evolution, all that stuff. How do I make sure that this is, kept up to date, as cost effective? Of course.
Yeah. So I mean, twofold, right? I mean, for one, we're going to virtualize this total estate, this video topology, right? So we're virtualizing everything but your RMX, right? So there's less, there's going to be less cost there. Second of all, we're going to be able to, just lost track of thought. So with the Clarity model, right, you can consume it on an OpEx or a CapEx model. So with the maintenance is basically included with the license, right? With that single call leg license, you're also getting maintenance. You're entitled to all the upgrades as they come out. So again, depending on whether it's CapEx or OpEx, the maintenance can be included in the licensing model, so you don't have to worry about separate maintenance additions and whatnot.
So given my budget and everything, what you recommend a OpEx type model then?
I mean, we could do it either way. What I see is we could start out with so really one of the big differences with Clarity between the CapEx and the OpEx, other than, are we paying for it all up front or are we going to pay for it out over the year, is with the OpEx model, the maintenance is included, and in the CapEx model, we're going to pay for the maintenance, everything on a year-to-year basis, right? So there is really, there's not really much of a great cost differential between consuming those two models. It really comes down to how you want to pay for it.
All right, fair enough. As we kind of spoke about in the past, video adoption's been kind of weak, right? And so what type of services are you proposing here? Can you just recap the service offerings around this proposal?
Yeah, I mean, so we kind of tackled the video adoption in a couple different ways. For one, you're now going to have scheduling, right? As part of the resource manager, we're going to be able to schedule those calls. We're going to standardize on the user interface. That, in my opinion, is going to go the furthest for user adoption. That's going to be great ease of use. Even if we didn't throw on top of that the one touch to dial, right? When they walk into a room, a scheduled room, that's, those two things hand in hand are going to make the ease of use just, go through the roof for adoption. And then, we're going to be able to roll out new software features as there's upgrades and things like that. But the adoption is really going to be taken care of with the video endpoint upgrade, the ability to schedule and walk into a room in one touch dial.
All right, well, thank you. I'm just going to stop the recording here.
All right.